today's video, we'll be running through bad advice that every traveler should ignore. Some of it was always bad advice, and some of it used to be good advice, but is now outdated. Like how booking a flight on a Tuesday is going to get you the best deal. Not true. The first piece of bad travel advice to ignore is advice that I have both followed and even given in the past. Oops. Board the plane last so that you can scope out empty seats and then take your pick of these empty seats instead of sitting in the seat that you have been assigned. This was always bad advice since flight attendants typically require everyone to be in their assigned seats before the plane can take off. But it's now exceptionally bad advice for two reasons. Reason number one is that planes are often full these days, and if there is an available seat, it's probably a seat that no one wanted, and therefore you will likely not want it either. Reason number two is that while your seat number is assigned, the overhead bin space is not. If you are the last passenger to board the plane, there is a very good chance that there will be no overhead bin space left, and then you will be forced to check your carry-on suitcase. Checking your carry-on suitcase means that it is now at risk of being lost or damaged, or at the very least, you will have to head to the baggage claim area and wait around that luggage belt for your bag to arrive after you land. The next piece of bad travel advice that you should definitely ignore when planning your next trip would be waiting to book your flight until a specific time or day, like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, or some other variation of that. In the past, airlines would often update their fares and their flights on Mondays, and then the new flight tickets would become available for purchase on Tuesday mornings. This led to a surge in flight bookings on Tuesdays and often cheaper prices. However, with modern technology and dynamic pricing, flight prices now fluctuate at any and all times based on a ton of different factors. You will definitely see different prices for the same flight if you're searching for it at different days of the week or even different times in a specific day, but you can't predict when it's going to be the cheapest price, and if you try to, you are simply gambling. You win some, you lose some. Some non-outdated travel advice would be that if you are looking to book a flight within the next 6 months, you should probably consider booking sooner rather than later. You'll likely get the best price by booking further in advance as opposed to waiting until the trip approaches. The third piece of bad travel advice is to plan on purchasing a local SIM card when you arrive at your destination, since we now have the option to use eSIMs. I'll personally always opt for an Olafly eSIM when I travel instead of a local SIM card for 3 key reasons. Setting up an Olafly eSIM is completely digital, making it incredibly convenient, simple, and hassle-free. An Olafly eSIM also gives me internet access as soon as I land, with coverage extending to over 160 countries, along with unlimited data plans. This means I can look up information and even translate immigration forms from the moment I land without having to stress over things like whether or not the SIM card shop at the airport will be open. And with their 24/7 customer support, I can troubleshoot any issues that may arise, which is certainly not the case if you were to purchase from a local SIM card stall at the airport. I'm excited to have partnered with Olafly on this video, and if you head to the video description, you'll find a link where you can save an additional 5% on your next purchase of an Olafly eSIM. The next piece of outdated travel advice to ignore would be to bring traveler's checks with you on your trip. Traveler's checks are essentially prepaid checks issued by banks which you could use as an alternative to carrying a large amount of cash. They were often available in various currencies, which meant you could use them in different countries. Let us know down in the comments if you have ever taken out a traveler's check for one of your trips. I personally have not, but I definitely remember my father getting traveler's checks anytime we would take a family vacation outside of Canada. And if you never used them in the past, there is a good chance that you will not be using them in the future either. Traveler's checks have become less practical since they are no longer widely accepted and can be difficult to both get and redeem. It doesn't make a lot of sense to seek out traveler's checks when credit, debit, and mobile tap payments are so widely accepted. And here is some travel advice that you have probably heard before and might even disagree with me calling bad advice. Avoid street food as it's going to give you food poisoning, and you should always stick to what you know. Street food is cooked right before your eyes, so you know exactly what's going into it and how it's being prepared. In many cultures, street food tends to be what the locals are eating on a daily basis. Now, I'm not saying to go way outside of your comfort zone and eat all of these new foods that you've never had before and may not agree with you. What I am saying is that embracing the local cuisine and eating like the locals eat is actually a great way to not get sick. What is more likely to make you sick is going to be that one hamburger restaurant in Vietnam where they will make you a burger just like back home in the States. Except that Vietnamese chef doesn't really know how to cook the hamburger meat or even how to properly store it, since they likely only make it for the occasional random tourist on request. Eating the dishes that the locals have been cooking for their entire life while also scoping out busy street food stalls with high food turnover is much better advice than opting to avoid street food altogether. But also, don't completely dismiss the chain restaurants that you are used to seeing back home when you go to a new country. This is going to be unpopular advice, but I love going to McDonald's, yes, McDonald's, when I am in a foreign country. You end up seeing a lot of the same basic items, and then there's these just totally wild, random things that you would never guess, like the mixed spicy paneer in India and the corn pie in Thailand. Like what? So fun. Let us know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I consider to be bad travel advice. I would also love it if you shared any pieces of bad travel advice that you have received over the years. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe to join me back here for more travel videos next week. Safe travels and see you soon. Bye.